Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. It is 9:15 in the morning, New York City time,
Morning.
and February 24th. Oh, hello, Andy. Thank you. I'm just gonna. I'll give you a second, Andy. Yeah, it's Friday morning. Been an interesting week. Big sell-off in financials yesterday, and yeah, it looks like people are worried about consumer spending. Walmart is the big recession indicator, evidently. And yeah, I think big banks sold off, 2 to 4%, 4.5% yesterday. So, quick look at the pre-market tape. S&P futures are up 0.09%. Nasdaq's up 0.4%. Dow's down about 0.5%, thanks to United Health. The Russell's up 0.74%. VIX futures are up 0.35%. Short-term treasuries are flat. Long-term are up slightly. Gold is down 0.2%. Crude is down 1.27%. Nat gas futures are up 4.1%. Bitcoin is up 0.66%. The FTSE is about flat. The Nikkei closed up 0.12%. The Shanghai index closed up 1.06%. And the US dollar is up 0.24% versus other currencies. All right. Good morning to you two people as well. Andy, are you doing all right? I think Andy died.
Oh, I'm alive.
Oh, okay, good.
Sorry.
You just
Yeah.
came in here full steam ahead.
Full steam ahead. Let's go.
I didn't even hear like an actual word. I just heard sounds. It's
That's
good.
funny because my mic was muted and I was trying to, fumbling with the thing for the mic button.
I see. I see.
Hmm.
Well, all right. So, I think big news for this week, perhaps yesterday. Frankly, I've just been looking at price action. I haven't been looking at a lot of news. JPM was down like over 4% yesterday. Something like 4.5%. Big banks. Big sell off in big banks.
Yeah. Woof.
Um, to be honest, I mean, you look at the long term charts and they're simply, I mean, it's like a week and a half of gains that are gone, as opposed to a
Yeah.
tremendous past year. So sell offs like these are, well, they're usually healthy, but I mean, frankly, it's compared to the gains that they've had, it's kind of nothing. But still, 4.5% sell off in JPM. You would think that something's wrong, but I mean, I think just valuations are just a little high, and markets are looking for reasons to take profits, and that's it. We'll see if we can have a big move today. I see it's already up about $1.60 in the pre-market.
Yeah, that DOJ probe on United Health is also kind of interesting.
Yeah. What did they say? They're looking into some payments that were made, or just what general claims, or what are they? Let's see. Investigating its Medicare billing. So much bureaucracy with subsidized healthcare. Like they even pay like private insurers to oversee the public insurance market. It's insane. I mean, all considered, unless it's massive fraud, if they find something, it's going to be a fine, and life carries on. I mean, it's like it's literally what
No one
happens every
goes to
time.
prison. Just a slap on the wrist.
Well, I mean, my point is like I don't think the stock price is gonna like it's a pretty big hit. It's down what like 11% or something. That's a big hit for United Health.
Mhm.
Now this is a stock that didn't always move like this. Insurance stocks, yeah. I mean, there are times when, yeah, they do something they're not supposed to be doing. Definitely happens with, I mean, every major corporation. Insurance companies are no exception, especially them. But yeah, this is a pretty big move, and I mean, frankly, the past year has been pretty wild for United Health. And up until yesterday, it's still about flat over the past year, even with all the volatility and drama. So I don't think there's massive fraud. I mean, it's the insurance industry, so not exactly an honorable industry. But aside from that, I don't think there's massive fraud. So we'll see. Greetings, soul. All right. Let's take a look at some news. Amazon has overtaken Walmart in quarterly revenue for the first time. They reported fourth quarter sales of $187.8 billion versus Walmart's $180.5 billion. While Walmart still leads in annual revenue, Amazon is catching up. So at this rate, and I don't think Walmart's I don't think the revenue is growing at an alarming rate. But at this rate, yeah, it won't be long, which is pretty interesting. The two biggest retailers. Here's the DOJ probe. Let's see what the news says. Department of Justice has launched a civil fraud investigation into United Health over Medicare billing practices, examining diagnosis that increased the government payments to its Medicare Advantage plans. As in, they might be milking the public system. Yeah. Who doesn't these days? The SEC has dropped Coinbase's lawsuit. The SEC has agreed to dismiss its enforcement case against Coinbase pending commissioner approval. The case was filed in 2023 and accused Coinbase of operating an unregistered securities exchange. Looks like Coinbase is up about, it's a couple percent, 3-4% pre-market. I didn't think that was even a concern anymore. You might fade that movement. Or, yeah, maybe it's worth doing. Meta has increased executive bonuses to 200% of base salary, up from 75% following board approval. The changes exclude Zuckerberg. I mean, he makes a lot of money, so that would be a tremendous change. But that is crazy because I know they're doing layoffs. So, yeah, that's a big increase. OpenAI has notched a user record. They've reached 400 million weekly active users, up 33% in 3 months. OpenAI now has 2 million paying enterprise users. 400 million weekly active users. What is that, like 6% of the planet? 6.5%? Yeah, it's crazy. Everybody looking for help on writing emails. NVIDIA has debuted an ASL teaching tool. They've launched Signs, an AI-powered platform designed to teach American Sign Language, expanding its AI applications beyond hardware. So they're actually using their powers for good. No idea how effective it is. NVIDIA had a good run up over the past few weeks. Yeah. They have earnings. When do they have earnings? February 26th. Was that Wednesday? Yeah. Earnings next Wednesday for NVIDIA. Surely that will rock the semi market. JetBlue expands talks with multiple airlines for a new partnership after the merger with Spirit was blocked, and their alliance with American Airlines. So, well, both were blocked. JetBlue seeks a deal to strengthen its competitive position and enhance its loyalty program. What are they trading at these days? Valuation wise. $0.95 price to book. Airlines just never look good from a valuation perspective. We'll see what they could do. JetBlue, man, that stock price has been volatile. I think the other airlines, they've been doing just fine. And that's opening bell. Foxconn suggests a Honda pact. Foxconn has proposed a partnership with Honda, aiming to create a broader alliance that includes Nissan and Mitsubishi Motors. The move follows Foxconn's interest in taking a stake in Nissan. Big Auto making deals. Oh, look at that. Department of Justice has just dropped its SpaceX claim. Surely of their own volition. The DOJ is dropping its discrimination case against SpaceX, which alleged the company violated federal hiring laws by refusing to hire certain immigrants. Musk is an immigrant. Energy drink buyout. Celsius. What's going on with them? They're not being bought out. Celsius is acquiring energy drink rival Alani Nu for $1.8 billion in cash and stock to expand its market share amid slowing growth. This is Celsius' largest deal to date. Man, this stock price is... Celsius just gotten beaten up. And I remember people talking about it being a value at 60 or 70.
Nothing to see with the SpaceX suit being dropped.
Yes. Italy's antitrust authority is investigating Stellantis, Tesla, Volkswagen, and BYD for allegedly misleading consumers on electric vehicle range, battery degradation, and warranty terms. Oh man, I mean Tesla. How many people were disappointed by that range and battery? We'll see if anything comes from that. King D, is there a position to be entered now in UNH considering this big dip? Let's see. Well, I bought a couple hundred shares in the pre-market, and I'm feeling pretty good about that already. I just opened up like, some calls. What, yesterday? Unlucky. Let's see how much shares.
Yeah, you bought calls yesterday, man.
Yeah.
550.
Yeah. Well, you say that like I knew. Oh, I'm sorry I didn't predict the future for you, Andy. I'm sorry that your other games are not enough.
Womp womp.
Yeah, UNH. I mean, typically the bid-ask spreads are not great because I want to do spreads. Oh, this is Tesla. Yeah, those 530, 600 call spreads. They are not happy now. Those are doing pretty well at one point. We still got a month. We'll see what we can get back. Yeah, I don't want to make any bold calls in this. It is oversold. Bid-ask spreads are terrible. I might just hold my shares. What's IVR at? 76? Yeah, these bid-ask spreads are terrible. I mean, and it's rallying hard now. Maybe it slows down. Maybe it takes a breather, but yeah, I bought shares at about 441, 442. And now I'm up for the day, even with the calls and the call spreads being down. What a drop. Yeah, I think this is I mean, if you really think there's a good chance they're committing massive fraud, then don't buy the stock. But I don't, unless something comes out and says that's what they literally are doing. I don't. That's probably not the case, and this will probably just be a fine they'll have to pay. Man, markets are sensitive. 11%. This is 11% drop on just. This is a massive company. And I don't even think that's. I imagine it's probably like it's not even a big portion of their revenue, the part that they get from, on top of Medicaid. Obviously, they're committing fraud, something like that. That's reason to be concerned about the company, but. Yeah, I do think 11% for UNH, especially at this level, and it's a pretty big deal. It's already past 460 now. So let's see. What happened with Walmart? So they're down 1.2% today. What were they down, like 6.5% yesterday? Walmart had nearly doubled over the past year. Walmart slumps after the company's outlook for first quarter and year miss analyst estimates primarily on the bottom line. Some of lower guide versus consensus is due to including Vizio dilution, which likely wasn't in estimates. I don't know how much of an impact that made. I'm sure it's probably a combination of factors. All right. What else we got? How's Palantir doing? Come back up? What a drop on Palantir. I keep seeing talk of like AI bubble, and it's bursting or whatever. What you had with DeepSeek and Palantir. To I kind of want to set the record straight on whether it's news or social media or whatever. First part, the AI stocks, a lot of them are they're generating actual cash flow. A lot of them, not all of them. They have a good business. Demand might be a bit stretched right now, or not stretched, but rather a bit high. There's a good amount of hype, but valuations for a good number of these companies, they're not actually sky high. They're not tech bubble high, like the .com bubble. A lot of them are, but it's not. It doesn't seem systemic. So, like Nvidia is still trading at a reasonable price, to be honest. Of course, if demand drops, then that's a big problem. So, as it relates to whether there's a bubble in an economy or within markets, what usually correlates with it is some like unjustified mania. So if we're working towards improving technology via AI, if there's a decent amount of truth with that, right? Like maybe we're not even making as much progress as we should be, or maybe a lot of this is kind of worthless spending, right? And we're looking in the wrong places. Enterprises are looking in the wrong places, and we should be more focused on biotech and robotics, right? Some of that could be unjustified, and some of it could be, could be overhyped, could be due to mania, but it's not. I don't think it's systemic. And going back to valuations, if even you take away that portion, like let's say Nvidia sells, I don't know, let's say a quarter of their sales are due to excessive hype, and then those sales start to decrease, then you'll probably see a drop similar to what we saw in 2022. Does that make it a bubble? No. I don't think people were calling Nvidia a bubble at the beginning of 2022, and then it just started dropping, and then everybody wanted to buy. And that wasn't a towards the end of the year, I guess. And it was fairly gradual decrease in stock price. So, few key things there would be, if it's a bubble, there has to be unjustified mania. People just paying outrageous prices to get their hands on certain products and services. And for AI, they may be paying a high price, but this is going to reflect in valuations. And for some companies like Nvidia, the valuation is it's okay. It's justifiable where it is now. Of course, that could change, but for other companies, valuations are already ridiculously high. So that's the first part. I don't think it's systemic. I don't think it's an across-the-board AI bubble. I think people just like saying that. And I think, as has been the case since what I would call the IPO bubble, which I think was very real, it's very easy to define. When you saw all those companies IPOing at crazy valuations, and then a lot of them fell like 90%. That's classic bubble. A lot of them weren't even selling products. So that's you want to compare what's going on with the AI to a very recent example of an actual bubble compared to the IPO bubble, SPAC bubble. So when you make that comparison, I think it's pretty easy to differentiate. You can say, okay, a lot of these AI companies, they actually have real businesses. Like, they're good companies. Some of them, they are tremendously overvalued, like Palantir, right? But it doesn't mean they don't have a good business. So that's the first part. I think it's important to compare these stocks to stocks that just met all the criteria for a bubble, such as the SPACs from 21, 22. And then the second part is you take a look at, well, most recent example now is Palantir. And people might say, oh, look, the bubble's bursting. The stock price it's back to where it was a week and a half ago. That's not a bubble bursting. This thing, if Palantir is an actual bubble, I mean, it looks like it because of valuations, right? Never mind the business, but because of valuations, it does look like it's a bubble, but maybe the business is fine, right? But if it were just a definitive bubble, you would see the stock price, what's it at, 107, hit a high 125, 1 year low of 20. You would see the stock price go back towards 20. Same thing with the AI stocks, semiconductor stocks. The utility stocks. Nvidia dropped, what was it? Was it like a 20% drop or something like that? If it kept going, then okay, now we're talking like bubble bursting. But it didn't. It just came right back up. So it's back where it was about a month ago, right? So, well, we had Vistra, about almost the same thing. Well, frankly, you could chop off this little spike we had late January, and it's at the same level it was before the whole DeepSeek sell-off. And Vistra, among other utilities companies that are providing power to for data centers. The nuclear power stocks kind of lumped in the same category. CG's right back up. What about Talon? Talon's right back up. I suppose the reason I pointed out is because you see people say, like, we're in a bubble. These stocks are in a bubble, this industry or whatever. And then there's a sell-off suddenly and say, look, the bubble's bursting. And then everybody wants to sell. or everybody starts asking questions on Reddit or wherever, and they say, should I sell my position? Should I hedge? Should I short this? And you'll probably get a lot of bad confirmation bias. And then the stocks come right back up because, they're not really a bubble. So, yeah, some companies, some of them are definitely bubble-ish, but not all of them. And if you hear like AI bubble, you should be thinking, okay, which stocks does this actually apply to? Not that stocks like Nvidia won't actually take a hit if suddenly demand is slowing and a lot of these companies prove to be just unnecessary. Like, what do we got? We got what is it, C3.ai? I mean, that company, that's another grifting company. So if all the companies similar to C3 AI, if they start coming down and their business isn't looking good, their stock prices drop, 40, 60, 70% or whatever. Yeah, other stocks in the AI industry, the AI sector, they're going to take a hit. Because they're correlated. At that point, you figure out, okay, which of these companies actually have real businesses, such as Nvidia or maybe Broadcom. Broadcom's still a bit high, but Broadcom, that company's been going for a long time. It's a great company. Be great if the stock price dropped a solid 30%, but yeah, you look at the well-known companies, they take advantage of the dips. It should be pretty obvious which ones are the real losers once you actually start to look at financials and their actual business. Or even like a little bit of their history. Like C3AI, I forgot what their name was before, but they just changed their name. The business has been the same, and then they just changed their name based on whatever the current trend is, which is always kind of a bad sign. Put another way, would you rather a company simply change their name to match the current trend or actually evolve their business in line with the current trends and emerging trends? Who cares? Keep the same name. Doesn't matter. But adjust your business. So, yeah, a lot of signs there. But frankly, a lot of stocks, it's just taking a long time for them to sell off. For investors to just markets to just agree, okay, yeah, these are bubbles.
Yeah, but if I don't change my name, how do companies know? How do people know that I'm an AI company now?
Yeah, I guess you just have to prove it with your actual products and services. Yeah, and I know there's a lot of ETF BS. Like ETFs are, I don't want to call ETFs a scam because a lot of ETFs they're very purposeful. They're very useful. But I don't know why we have a dozen different AI ETFs. Like that's dumb. And then that's when you have companies saying, okay, let's put AI in our name and let's put it in our company description so we can get lumped into those ETFs and hopefully get some increased volume. Yeah. I saw Alibaba was up big. Yeah, what are they up 5.2%? Man, that thing's been a rocket ship. I was gonna add to my Baidu calls. Those are up 5.5% too. I think Baidu is. I remember Alibaba being the one that used to trail Baidu, and investors seemed to be more interested in Baidu. It was just more like I don't know, techie, I guess, had higher growth. It seems to be a bit of changing of the guards, but nothing has changed with Baidu, so they're still doing very, very well. So yeah, I still have calls on them. All right, let's see how the Mag 7 JPM is. Yeah, I can't really get it together. Only up 0.18%. I need them to move more than that. I need a few percent on JPM. I need it soon. Nvidia's flat. Microsoft is flat. While Wall Street doesn't care about quantum anymore. Meta's up 0.8%. Meta had, I think, 20 positive days in a row. I think that's what it was. This is insane. Like a statistical anomaly for stocks. Apple's flat. Amazon's down 0.7%. Broadcom's up about 0.2%. Google's flat. U.S. Soldier, are you here? Yeah, you're here. Won't let you access the subscription services on Discord. So you're on U.S. Soldier. You're on Discord, but you can't even like preview the subscriptions. Don't do it on mobile. Unless you just want to hand money to Discord for no reason.
Oh, hand money to Apple for no reason.
Well, no, Discord upcharges so they get the money. So
No, they have to pay the App Store for.
No. Yeah, I know it. I know that. But if they
Right.
didn't upcharge, then yes, it's Apple. But because they're upcharging 30%, it's going to Discord. It's like tariffs.
Sure.
So see, that's a good example of a tariff. Yeah, I wouldn't do it on mobile. So yeah, just do it on PC. Or I mean, I don't know if it'll let you use the Discord website on mobile. Like I don't know if it just kicks you out of the website and says no, use the app. But maybe that works too. But I mean, yeah, I don't know how it works for like Android phones.
The Play Store wants a cut also.
Right, but I what I'm saying is I don't know how much they upcharge, or I don't know if they just prevent you from doing it. Like Spotify, for example, won't let you pay through the app. They redirect you to their own website because of the upcharge. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't know if Discord does that through Android, but through iOS, they're just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna upcharge you. I don't know. Okay, what's moving? Let's see. I got assigned on some short puts. The trade desk. I do not want trade desk. Yeah, I do not care about them. See if we can sell these. All right. Get rid of these shares. I do not care. All right. TLT's moving up. That's good. What's going on with SMCI? What do they got until, what is it, Tuesday? To say whether they're very fraudulent or just slightly fraudulent?
I thought it was today, end of day. Is it not?
Pretty sure it's Tuesday.
Okay.
How is quantum stocks doing? I hedged QUBT. They're pumping for no reason. So Microsoft claims that they've made a quantum chip, and then other quantum stocks that didn't are pumping. Yeah, this is FOMO. This is definitive FOMO. Like, I hope my stock does the same thing, or I hope it's real. Microsoft did it, so that means it's probably real. Novo Nordisk. Every time they try to, they have a nice pop. Look at this. Look at these pops over the past month or so. They just come right back down. Hedgies trying to bring the stock price down. Novo Nordisk is looking nice. Way better deal than Eli Lilly. I don't even think the lead that Eli Lilly has is significant. I think they're basically tied right now, but the valuations would say otherwise. How about Nintendo? Look at that rocket ship. Nintendo's been doing quite well. How's Nike doing? Poor Nike. See if this move holds. They're removed from the relative valuation because they just, in terms of estimates, they just can't get it together. Financials. At some point, they will. But you don't want to get in and be stuck there for, 2 years waiting for the company to get it together. A lot of opportunity cost there. It doesn't mean that they can't go up in the short and midterm, but they just don't meet the criteria. That's the whole point of a systematic strategy. Speaking of, how is Merck? Merck is looking nice for now. A lot of these value stocks do look similar in terms of price movement, though. the market's greed is showing. Can't be bothered with value. Okay. JPM is up 0.3. How's Lockheed? Man. It's amazing how quiet people get when stocks that they were ranting and raving about are just like on the decline, just dropping. Or like a prolonged decline. They need a massive drop in order to be interested again. Lockheed did have some pretty big moves down, though. Like single day moves. GEV. Oh, I got to sign a few shares. Get rid of those. I don't care too much about GEV. That stock price that thing's just moving. That's like, looks like Costco. Like it's the only stock you can buy in this business or something. How's Ford doing? I sold some in the money put spreads on Ford. When did I do that? It was beginning of last week. Yeah, I think so. Closes out like 40% gain. I think Ford's finally at a level where it probably won't go down too much further. Like I think markets are like, yeah, okay, like he's already dead, you know. Not that it's just gonna bounce back up. It's not even oversold in long term chart. It was back in December, but yeah, maybe $9 is good support, but like there is still that idea like, oh, but it's Ford, right? And they're not gonna go anywhere, whatever. But I think that idea has a price and a valuation attached to it. And which is low. And I think $9 is probably around where it's at. Like not just the actual, stock price, but the valuation. Price to book. A dividend, man, what are they going to do with that dividend? Ford has a 12.8% dividend. Oh, man. I don't even see too many people saying Ford is a value play or anything like that. And I'm kind of surprised because the same people were saying Ford was a good stock to hold at, 10 to 12 or higher. That dividend is so high. They have to cut that. Start deleveraging so they can actually grow. Man, Ford they're just ripe for like a turnaround, but unfortunately they have fossils for management and a terrible CEO. Everybody is just sitting collecting massive dividends. Yeah, they don't really seem to care. They're all gonna pass away in like the next 5 years. RIP. RIP Ford. Nah, they'll be all right. Someday, someday they'll turn around. But let's see, how long has it been? Man, yeah, during 21-22, the EV bubble, Ford gained from that hopes that Ford was going to be an actual growth company. Those hopes are gone. It's basically back where it was before they heavily invested into the what was it, the electric Ford truck, whatever. And now they changed their minds because they can't make it profitable, which is a bit confusing, by the way. Like, I know you have companies like Rivian and Lucid that were trying to do it on their own, right? Uh, Spending a lot of money on production and research. Ford shouldn't have to spend as nearly as much on production. And on the research side, I mean, to me, it's like, well, you make partnerships. Easy. That's it. Establish the partnerships, and then over time, you work on doing it in-house. That's how you do it. If you're a company, an already established company. So I don't know why they were having so much trouble being profitable. And overall, why as a company they suck, but yeah, specific to EVs. Yeah, I still think they kind of need to figure something out with that. Like, EVs are here to stay. We're having ebbs and flows in demand, but yeah, they're going to keep improving battery technology for EVs. It's early, it was definitely early a few years ago, but yeah, it'll improve, and then they'll become more appealing to consumers. And companies like Ford will again be behind. But yeah, maybe $9 a share is this company will forever be behind price. Man, Booz Allen, look at that stock price. He's trying to sell puts on them. Look at that IVR, 99. When was the last time it was this low? I think they have like high single digits growth expected for revenue. Let's see. Let's have a look. I'll glance at comments real quick. Yeah, they're not going to cut dividend. Yeah, I mean, I know they won't. They have to, but they won't. Um, it kind of reminds me of they've said the same about It's not Samsung. Is it Sony? I guess it's Sony. Some like the Eastern Asian corporations, like they're basically like dynasties, and they've just been run by like the same family. It's all been kept within the family, and like growth is not the best, and they just they get complacent over time. Yeah, kind of the same thing. Hooters is preparing for bankruptcy. Hooters is no way they're publicly traded, right? Do they have a parent company that is? All right, let's check out Booz Allen real quick. They'll probably call it a day. Okay, Booz Allen. What do you got here? 10-year revenue CAGR of 9%. That is solid. That is outstanding. And it's consistent. That's even better. Free cash flow CAGR of 16.6% over the past 10 years. How about let's look at, I like to do 3 years. Or that's historical plus estimates. And I think estimates are actually a little bit lower. So, yeah, so that's a 10-year period including estimates. I think 10 years. Yeah, past 10 years CAGR is still pretty high. Still about 9%. Yeah. All right. EBITDA of about 1.5 billion. We'll call it 1.5 expected. Debt is 3.6. Okay. Yeah. That's just fine. Cash from operations. Had a bad year last year. I mean, still positive. Stock-based comp, 100 million. Yeah, that's fine. It's like 1%. Are they repurchasing stock? They definitely are. They pay a dividend. 1.9%. Yeah, okay. What's their market cap? 14.4 billion. And for those who don't know, they're basically SaaS. Mostly focused on government contracts. And then they have AI in the company description. But this company's been around for a long time. Yeah, they were founded in 1914. Yeah, AI in 1914. Yeah, so sort of SaaS cybersecurity for government. I suppose a competitor to Palantir, even though Palantir they operate as if they don't have competitors. I'm pretty sure some people would say like they're different businesses. But frankly, a lot of these SaaS companies, I kind of have trouble differentiating them all. Like how there is actually no overlap. That's a bit hard for me to believe, but what do I know? Yeah, Booz Allen. Interesting. They are on my watch list, and seeing them just continue to drop like this is pretty interesting. I don't know much about the company, to be honest, but just from a valuation perspective, it does look interesting. Financials look solid, good liquidity, very acceptable leverage. Yeah, not bad. Let's see. What about KBR? KBR, same thing. So it's just a sector-wide thing. Cuts in government spending, I suppose. So I guess now it's you just figure out who's the most useful, who's the least likely to be cut. CBZ. Well, CBZ's done well. They when I bought them, I forgot about that. Yeah. Okay. Interesting that they're in the same category. Hmm. At any rate, I think it's a decent time to look at companies that provide professional services, IT services, just general SaaS, cybersecurity to governments, to the U.S. government. Um, Perhaps some of them will actually lose business, but surely some of them are more relevant than others. So, all right. I am probably going to call it a day. I am going to have some chana masala for lunch. I cooked some yesterday, and it's delicious, and it makes me overeat. McLovin, you would request to come up when I say I'm leaving. Do you guys do this on purpose? Come up, McLovin. Hello.
Yo, what's going on, Luke? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you as well. How have you been? Where have you been? Why have you been?
Uh, I've been missing only because this is my last semester, so I've just been focusing on that.
Ah, it's good to focus.
Congrats on finishing school.
Thank you. How's everybody been here?
Oh, just gambling away, trying to take other people's money.
Nice.
What do you? So, remind me, what exactly? Which degree did you just obtain?
Finance.
In finance, okay. And what's the next step?
The next step is to hopefully get a job.
The next step is hope.
In what field?
Well, probably finance.
I'm trying to do something in consulting or private wealth.
Sure.
And
Consulting.
staying away from IB.
Consulting without experience. That's great.
Well, you have to start somewhere, Andy. You're not born a consultant.
Start somewhere, but
so you
Yeah,
mean
that's what I'm
like
saying.
financial, like wealth advisory services, right, McLovin?
Yep.
I would say, well, sorry, you didn't ask for my opinion, so I'll reserve it.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I think I had a very different opinion when I was still in college. The opposite opinion. I think working for a wealth advisor coming out of college is more often than not, I think it's a good idea. So if you can set that up, they'll help you get your licenses. They'll sort of introduce you to the industry, to the sector. If your long-term plan is to remain in finance, even if you decide, you know what, I do want to go to investment banking or I want to go to private equity or whatever, I think this is the way to go. And I skipped a step. I skipped a lot of steps, frankly, because I went straight to investment banking because I was a bit of a badass. No, I'm just kidding. Nah, I got lucky. But also, I worked my ass. I was a badass. But I got lucky. So, unfortunately for me, when I left investment banking, I didn't have like a lot of the licenses, certifications. I had some for investment banking, but I didn't have like a lot of the connections that I would have had if I started, if I went the traditional route. So, if you're starting out and you don't have a lot of connections and you're kind of new to the industry overall, then I think it's an actual good idea to work in wealth advisory services. whether or not they're full of shit, or they're useless, it's a good place to start. It's a very good place to start. So,
thanks. I appreciate that.
yeah, I would. And by the way, even I'll even like dial it in more. I was there were companies that my peers and I, when I was in college, that we were like, we're never gonna work for them. Like those guys are a joke. Like what are we gonna sell? Like life insurance, or what are we gonna, don't. I don't know if you talk to people like this, but yeah, just don't shy away from advisory services that are selling products that people are like, I don't really need that or whatever. Just work for a wealth advisor, and yeah, get going through that. There are definitely some that are just just god awful, but yeah, in general, it's not a bad idea. The company that was trying to get me to work for them, and frankly, they'll I think in Texas they might take anyone was Northwestern Mutual, and they had like a partnership with my university, and there was some organization, they shared a wall with the investment group at UNT, my university, and they would always come over, and they would come talk to me and say, when are you going to join a group? When are you going to join a group? Because everybody was in there. It was a networking group. It was they would get you a mentor, somebody within the industry. Perhaps they were alum, whatever. And overall, it was kind of like, yeah, it makes the school look good, and maybe it works. Maybe you get connections, but it's it's a fun little like, oh, just pat them on the head, and it's nice. At least that's how I saw it. So to me, you had a bunch of people that couldn't make it, on their own in the industry, or couldn't get lucky, such as myself. So they lined up with that organization, hoping to get connections and hoping to speed up their career. So they often tried to get me to join, and I was kind of like the star child of the College of Business, and I just kept telling them no, like almost as if I enjoyed it, but I was like, no, I was like, I don't need you, maybe it would have helped, but yeah, Northwestern Mutual was aligned with them, and they talked to them. They were like, do you have any bright people? And they were like, yeah, we have these, whatever, we'll send them to talk to you. And then they said, like, we're not really interested in hiring any of them. Like, is there anyone else? Like, is there anybody else in the university? And they're like, go next door. And there's this guy that doesn't want to join the organization, but, he's lined up for investment banking, and, he's top of his class or whatever. He runs the portfolio, the university portfolio, all this crap. And I talked to him. I was like, no, God, no. But then I talked to a professor that I had, very intelligent man. He used to consult for hedge funds. Not sure what he was doing at that university, because it's a terrible university for finance. And I told him, and I was kind of joking about it. He's like, close to 60 years old. And I was kind of narking on Northwestern Mutual, and he just said, why wouldn't you tell anybody to work for them? And I was like, what are they going to learn? Like, it's, like it seems like last resort, like you can't get anywhere. And he's like, he just laid it out. He's like, you go from college, you have young people who haven't been introduced to the career or the sector of finance. Northwestern Mutual, they put you on a rigorous schedule. They team you up with an advisor. You get immediate access to connections. Like, you learn the way of the business. He's like, everybody needs this. He's like, frankly, most of these people need. He's like, you might not, but a vast majority of people do. And I was like, oh. So suddenly I kind of felt bad. I was like, I've literally been telling the students, like, don't go work for fucking Northwestern Mutual. Like, they're shit, And then after talking with him, I was like, oh yeah, I think he's right. Like, I lucked out, and I guess to give myself some credit, yeah, I had skills that other people didn't have. Both staff skills, finance skills, banking, equity analysis, trading, But yeah, like, that's very few people are in that actual position, I think, for the most part. unless you're at an Ivy League, but none of us went to Ivy League. So yeah, overall, lesson there is find a decent wealth advisory firm, and one with a good structure, and they'll set you up.
We do have a branch here in San Francisco. The only thing is that they're not hiring for wealth management; they're hiring for insurance. And who the hell wants to go into that?
I hate insurance, but I mean, if it gets you in, like I wouldn't write them off. And and again, like when I was graduating, before I graduated, I had the luxury of just telling everybody no, but not everybody does. Also, I had I was an Army veteran. I had 6 years in the Army. I deployed, so like I had plenty on my resume, plenty more than others did. So, I would say like don't write them off. Keep them, just talk to them either way, and just ask them. Like, you could be frank with them, and you can say like, given recent events, like a lot of people have bad perceptions of the insurance industry, and perhaps insurance products and services, So like, you just ask them like, could you tell me like, why perhaps that shouldn't apply, or could you provide some perspective? I am interested. I'm not closed off to it, but I'd like to know more. And they'll tell you because they're insurance people and nobody ever asked them that question. So they'll be glad to answer.
I actually had a good friend of mine work in that industry in the same sector for insurance for Northwestern. And he told me that they don't give him any leads, nor is he able to come up with any leads. It's more like hearsay. It's insane.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of them, they'll say like, talk to your family and your friends and ask your parents or whatever to ask their coworkers and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, it is like you're going to have to network. You're going to have to do sales. That's what it is. But this is finance. And even though I did well, I've done well in finance, the fact is I always was like, I don't like being a salesman. And when it came to making sales, particularly in investment banking, I was very direct. It worked, like to an extent, and it meant some people wanted to deal with me specifically, and they're like, no, these other guys, they're just gonna try to schmooze talk me. But it doesn't always work, and frankly, like the schmooziest salesmen or salespeople, they're the ones that are going to be the most successful in finance. So, frankly, that's probably why I didn't continue in finance, or why plenty of people didn't want to hire me, because I just tell them like, no, I'm not going to be your little bitch salesman. Like I will sell a product that is quality, and if it isn't, I'm not going to sell it. And nobody in finance wants to hear that. So, but yeah, so it's sales. So if you can get through that, then good. You'll probably do well. And if you don't like it, like if you really don't like it at all, then finance probably isn't for you. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's the case for me. So, yeah. So it can be tough, but that's finance.
It's not that I don't like sales. I actually prefer sales. The only thing is I don't like selling something I wouldn't buy. It's
Well,
like
nobody
how you
does.
said.
But like who enjoys that? You know what I mean? But that's like, I'm not going to buy a credit line, like a credit facility. I'm not going to buy a bond that I'm selling when I'm at an investment bank. And most the deals we had that dealt with equity, I'm not buying those companies. I wouldn't want to buy them. So that's the case the vast majority of the time. And frankly, I think that's kind of like that's like a $2 line. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to sell something I wouldn't buy myself. It's like, that's what they all say. That's what everybody says. But here we are, and everybody's selling shit that they don't want to buy. I had a friend, she worked at a crystal shop. She's selling crystals. No offense to if there's anybody here in the audience that likes crystals, but they're fucking bullshit. I said no offense, with all due respect. But yeah, it's like everybody's selling something. You can think fucking McDonald's. They're like, and sure they'll eat McDonald's. They work there, right? But they're not proud of the product, So yeah, finance is just more. It's the only difference between finance and marketing is that finance actually has to either create something itself or work with somebody else to create something. Marketers, they just market shit, advertisements. But we basically, like cousins. And we're all full of shit. So yeah, that's finance.
I have a friend of mine who works in private wealth. He's a sort of like a loan writer, and he's also selling loans for houses. And he asked me if I needed a job. He has some good connections, so I might reach out to him.
Yeah, I mean, real estate is. Oh man, real estate. Yeah, real estate is that's an option too. So.
Well, it's a good little start. You get your feet wet. Good income. You work your way up.
I suppose I'd rather be an underwriter in real estate than for insurance. I'll tell you that. Or I'd rather sell loans, sell mortgages than sell insurance. So, and I think a lot of people would say that, but. But yeah, if you can get with somebody that's more like diversified, doesn't just focus on insurance or just home loans, that would be good. But if not, then these are perhaps a step in the right direction.
Well, I appreciate the wise advice.
I don't know about wise, but it is advice. I guess we'll see. Well, with that, I am out. It's been real. Real quick look at the tape. Looks like S&P is sort of taking a hit. Caesar making the markets drop. S&P is down 0.68%. NASDAQ the same. Dow is down 0.93%. Russell's down 1.1%. Bonds now up, doing fairly well. Gold is it's come back up a little bit. Looks like it's still down 0.4%. Bitcoin is now down 0.8%, and U.S. dollar is up 0.28% versus other currencies. All right, folks, it's been real, and I will talk to you guys Monday. Oh, book club people. Is the vote? I think the vote is still. Is the vote over? Let me see.
Go vote.
Starting a book club?
7 hours left for to vote for the book.
Yeah, Caesar, join the book club channel.
Yeah, Caesar, do you read?
Yeah, of course I read. Yeah.
Like books?
Super books.
That wasn't a lie at all. No, but all jokes aside, I do read.
Join the Super Books channel and vote for a book. If you don't vote for an absolutely remarkable thing, I'm going to be mad.
Okay, all channels.
Oh.
Super Books. Is that the one?
Super Books, yeah. Vote for an absolutely remarkable thing.
Here, is this Andy's trying to lobby right now. Okay, yeah. The message is pinned.
Other pins tell about.
But let me say this.
Yeah.
Vote if you want to join the book club. Don't just vote if you're gonna have nothing to do with it, because then I'm just gonna ignore your vote.
You gotta read the book, yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise it's like all the people who are actually reading. Like if I want to read a certain book and then others vote on another book that they're not even gonna read at all, it's like, well, what the hell? It's like voting for Brexit, even though you didn't think it was gonna happen.
Just pick the one with 3 votes.
All right.
I can't see.
While Caesar figures out how to
that's right. You can't see.
Discord.
Do androids dream?
Yeah, I'm gonna let you think about that.
That's the.
I'm leaving, so you guys can.
Blade Runner book.
You guys can discuss this elsewhere. So I'm gonna close the talk. Have a good weekend. We will talk Monday. Oh, and then I'm gonna set up the I guess the time for the next book club meeting, which is gonna be earlier because I think frankly our European friends could not join us at all. So yeah. All right. So until Monday, have a good weekend. See you guys next time.